the water's fine, homie, jump into the deep end. Sow it, you will reap it. We're talking how to start it, how to grow it, how to keep it. Take a deep breath. You are now rocking with Founder Secrets.
We've got a fun pod for you today. Jon Matzner, welcome to Founder Secrets.
Thanks for having me, Brad. I don't know how many secrets I have, but I'm certainly a founder.
Oh, I think you have a few. I think this is gonna be a good time. Before we jump into it, we'll start with an icebreaker as we always do. So today is, if you had to live in a foreign country for a year, starting tomorrow. So this is pretty short term. Where would you go, and why? I'll start, and then Flavio, and then John. I think I'd move to Portugal. So I just spent 10 days in Italy. Italy's pretty cool, but Portugal's way better. And I'd loved Lisbon. I think it's, the weather's perfect. It's basically California weather at 1/3 the price. The people are great. And I think a year is just about the right amount of time. So plus they have great wine and amazing food. And you're close enough to the East Coast of the US that the time zone isn't horrible. So you can, bike and things in the morning, and they start working at 1:00 and you're still early for East Coast. That's what I would choose. What about you, Flavio?
I think about Portugal is kind of shaped like California too. That's interesting. If I had to live somewhere for a year, it'd be Romania.
That's cheating. You're from there.
That's a great country. Great country. Bucharest and Romania and Cluj in Romania are just two very vibrant cities. There's a lot. I think I would add a lot to the startup ecosystem and also learn a lot from the entrepreneurs there. It's a good time. And food's really good. It's not as cheap as Portugal or as it used to be, but it's more fun, I think.
Nice. What about you, John?
What about you, John?
I would probably move to Muscat, Oman. I love the Middle East, and Muscat is a coastal country that's got great diving and really cool Arab culture. It's like one of the few last truly Arab countries. It's a great part of the world. Yeah, probably Muscat. I love the Omanis.
How's the food?
It's fine. It's not exceptional, but I used to drive there from Dubai, and Dubai's got good food. So what's good about Omani food is you can Yemeni food I love because it's coastal. Kind of, it's got a taste of India, a taste of Africa, and a taste of Eastern Mediterranean, Lebanese, Syrian, all mixed together. And it creates just a really good cuisine, I think, spicing and flavors and stuff like that.
Good answer.
All right.
By the way, we almost did something like this, but you could, Portugal has a citizenship by investment thing, but there's a backdoor way to do it that nobody does because they're not entrepreneurs, which is if you just employ 10 Portuguese, you can actually get it that way with no money up front. And Portuguese, the average salary is say $1,300 or $1,400 a month full time. And so if you need 10 graphic designers, just put them in Portugal, hire them full time, you pay your taxes, whatever, but you basically become eligible for residency, which can turn into EU citizenship.
Can you do that through Sagan?
I was actually thinking about breaking out a group that does that because we have so many people that we hire. We hire people from Portugal too. And basically every time you have 10 employees in Portugal, you just created roughly $400,000 or $500,000 in extra enterprise value because you can sell that bundle of 10 to somebody to be you're standing up enterprise value every 10 Portuguese that you have hired. So there's definitely something there where you sell them staffing companies or whatever. I've been too busy to figure it out, but I know a little bit about that because of my previous career.
How long do you have to employ them?
5 years, but it's not the same 10 people. But the idea is, again, if you're going to hire 10 people to answer your phones and you want to move to Europe, just hire them in Portugal.
So what are the benefits of having EU citizenship?
We get to live in the EU, right?
Can't you live in the EU with a US citizenship?
Mm-mm.
No,
you get your Portuguese passport, right? You can, depends on what you define as live. I'm talking about getting a Portuguese passport, which would make you a Portuguese citizen within 5 years or dual citizen.
I know people that move to Portugal as US citizens and are just chilling. Their kids
they can do that for a year or 2 years or whatever. But if you wanted to what's cool is once you get the Portuguese, the reason why I think it's cool, I don't need it because I have another way I can do it. But if you wanted to live in France for 4 years, you couldn't just do that, show up at the door in Paris and get stamped. You actually have to have a longer term, residency category. So neither here nor there, but yeah.
That's a good secret. Good.
Oh, there you go. Hey, I said I didn't have any secrets.
You already did it.
Hey, boom.
Bam.
We haven't even gotten to the business.
Yeah, maybe. So you used to, this is what you say in your LinkedIn, which I think is really cool. You used to chase weapons of mass destruction and terrorists for the State Department. We've had a number of veterans and veteran adjacent kind of people on the pod. They seem to make great founders. They seem to be great entrepreneurs. Is that your experience too?
I think it's a little bit of selection bias, right? Meaning I think they do, that is correct. But I also think the only ones that you'd see would be the good ones, right? Like they probably don't hit your radar in Manhattan as an entrepreneur. So I would say it's like correlative, not causative, because I know a lot of really dumb people who come out of the government too. But generally speaking, I think that there's a lot of, and broadly speaking, I believe in attributes-based hiring, not skill-based hiring. I think people who come out of the government, especially certain parts of it, like special operations and things like that, have a really solid set of attributes that can be very contributory to entrepreneurial success. I mean, you're not going to get stressed out because you have a customer service issue if you've been shot at before, right? You're going to kind of be like calm and be like, yeah, no problem. Nobody's getting shot at. It's fine. So that's what I'd say is I think the attributes of people coming out of the government are very strong. Oftentimes they need a little bit of finishing to just kind of commercialize some of those skills. Beyond that, definitely a good category in general. I have a buddy who has an incredible company. We're about to do something with him. All he does is he's a executive recruiter, but it's exclusively for former high level special operations talent. So like if you want like a SEAL Team 6 guy to run your HVAC company in Ohio, he can get you that guy, or like a Delta Force guy, and it's a super cool niche.
Are those people, like, I assume they're good at, like, are they good at running businesses or running things?
Yeah. So what I'd say, generally speaking, is I would say that they're good, just not right after the military. So what you want to do is you want them to season a little bit, spend like 2 or 3, 4 years, maybe go get their MBA, whatever. And then when they come out of that, they're like unstoppable because they now have some commercial skill sets. They can read a P&L and they know how to deal with like the chaos of running a home services business, you know?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did your path go? How did you end up co-founding this company, co-founding Sagan? And what is it?
So I went to Penn. I was in Philly, then went and lived abroad for a while, and then working for the government. Then came back, started buying small companies because I have a high pain tolerance. And buying companies in California, just out of desperation, started to get good at operations and hiring and whatever, and realized that I had a somewhat unique perspective on how to actually build a global team, especially in categories where there wasn't much attention. Got really good at that, got dragged into doing some advisory stuff for a lot of private equity and franchisors and stuff like that. And then saw a pretty clear opportunity within the market to launch Sagan, which I did with our mutual friend, Kayvon. And since then we've been ripping. So just really aggressive. And so summarized kind of most pithily, I don't know if that's an adverb, but in a pithy fashion, we would call ourselves like the Costco for global talent or Amazon Prime for global talent, which is the way our business model works is we charge a flat annual membership fee. And that is our margin essentially. And then within that, you get a ton of benefits. So some of those benefits are hiring. Some of those benefits are continued education. We've got an AI and automation thing that's slowly rolling out, but all of that's done at really, really affordable prices because our margin is in the membership, not in marking up the talent or marking up, these services. So that's essentially what it is. And that allows us to do all sorts of really fun things with our members, which are from pre-revenue startups to, we have a $7 billion PE company that we work with. 8 billion. Yeah.
Wow. So what do you mean you bought a bunch of small companies? Like you sounded like you were saying like, I just bought some shoes. What did you do with?
So the last one I bought was a home. The last one that I bought before Sagan was I bought a garage upgrade company, which did basically installed cabinets, floors, grew it. It was exceptionally difficult to run. Those businesses don't like to be big fast, but it was fun. And I learned a ton about actually running brick and mortar businesses, which has served me exceptionally well. So that'd be an example.
So how many of these did you do?
Companies?
Of these little like small California companies you were talking about?
Like probably 3 or 4, and then just saw, different opportunities and just kind of like went from there. But
where did you
these
find
weren't
them?
$50 million acquisitions, right? These are.
But like, where do you even find the garage improvement company to buy?
That one we found via a broker, and basically came in, and the original idea in buying it was I saw, just from a previous background, I had some experience in digital marketing, and I saw that the cost per click for Google pay per click, given what the gross margin was per house essentially, was way too low, which means pretty unsophisticated category. And so I knew that we could grow really fast by just buying PPC, because all these guys thought they were in the garage business, and I'm like, you're in the marketing business, not the garage business. They didn't realize that. I mean, it's not that they didn't realize that, they're just small, right? And so came in and just shot the money cannon at paid traffic, and then just had to scale ops to keep up with that. But pretty aggressive growth.
Did it work? Did the like shooting money at it?
Yeah.
Did it work?
Oh yeah. When we bought it, it was doing maybe 700 or 800 grand a year, and then by the time we were done, it was at a $5 million a year run rate, and sold it.
That's very hard to scale. My mom has a home services business. Very, very hard to scale the
Oh, it's
people
impossibly
and
difficult. Impossibly difficult,
Right.
which is why I didn't keep going. I mean, it was like, that sounds like a top level, like, haha, lol. Like, I lost years off my life running that company. You know, everything that I know about that company was paid for with blood. I mean, it was hard as shit.
What lesson
Really, really hard.
would you give to someone who's thinking of going and doing that?
I would say, think about doing what? Buying a small business?
Specifically in home services and trying to scale it in the way that you
I
did.
would say make sure you like what the constraint is in that industry, meaning fall in love with that constraint. Meaning, if you're buying a plumbing company, the constraint in plumbing companies is not how much tech they use, how much AI they use. Even if they answer their phone, it's how many skilled plumbers you can staff and retain. And so you need to be obsessed with that problem. Not, oh my God, those idiots don't use HubSpot. It's like, because that's not the problem, bro. Right? Oh, they're not doing SEO. That's not the problem. Right? And so based on the category that you're buying in or building in, you have to, somebody builds a remote cleaning company. You know what the problem is? Supervising remotely $16 an hour cleaners in rich people's homes who like to complain. That's the hard part. Not, oh my God, I built this thing with ChatGPT that helps me. That's not the hard part. And so what I would say is make sure you love whatever the challenge is in that category, because that's what you're going to spend 80% of your time thinking about. Not, oh my God, I got us new t-shirts. Nobody gives a shit.
Did you have any breakthroughs on how to manage and hire and retain those people? Because that's also just my small experience seeing it through my mom. That the people is the hardest part.
Oh yeah. Anytime you're building, I read a newsletter called Lazy Leverage. Anytime you use human beings as basically you pay a marginal cost with human beings. You don't pay a marginal cost with media. You don't pay a marginal cost with technology. You don't pay a marginal cost with capital, but you pay I'm going to curse, a fucking marginal cost when your head count increases. Right. And so, the biggest lesson that I learned, there's a couple, but the biggest one that's relevant to what we do now is to look at how your labor efficiency ratio is set up. And essentially, if that person doesn't have to be sitting in California, you put them global, you hire them direct, you make sure that they're awesome, but then I can pay my people in California more. So instead of having my Facebook girl make 45 G's a year and my installer make 45 G's a year, pay your installer $75,000 a year and have your Facebook person in Argentina for $20,000 a year. So your margins stay the same, but the way that your labor is allocated means you get a higher quality installer because you're not paying $17 an hour. You're paying $27 an hour, which is more than the competitors pay, but your Facebook person is not sitting in Southern California, fucking around on YouTube all day.
This is a great insight. Like what you just shared, I think is...
Yeah, that's what we do with private equity companies. So when I talk to private equity companies, I'm like, yo, you're doing a manufacturing roll up. You need to put you need to put money in the hands of the guys pouring metal. That's the hard part. It is not the person doing your bookkeeping and accounting. That person should not be in Pennsylvania. The guy pouring the metal, Pennsylvania. And it's the same with veterinarians that I've worked with and these big like roll-ups. You need to put more money and you solve the labor challenge by reallocating how your payroll basically works. So it becomes a strategic weapon as you're looking at acquisitions or whatever. That's how I think about it.
And basically pay more to the Americans is really what it sounds like that you're saying. Pay more to the local people here?
Yes, but it's because, again, most people think of it and they're like, do you know what a DSO is?
Mm-mm.
It's like a company that rolls up dentistry platforms. It's like private equity. Like 10 years ago, it was a big thing in private equity. They're still around now, and they're awesome. So it's like it's Adam Smith's specialization of labor, right? 19th century, right? Good old fashioned econ 101 stuff, right? Which is, what is the constraint in my business? It's dentists. How do I get more dentists to work at my company? Pay them more. Pay them more. Okay, so how do I pay them more? I raise my prices, I reduce my margin, or I find it in other parts of my OpEx. And so what I advocate is, why are you answering your phone with somebody sitting in California for $4 an hour plus benefits? That phone can be answered in Argentina completely indistinguishably. And then you take some of that OpEx that you unlocked and give it to your dentist. And magically now, so I just paid the dentist more and it was at the expense of the front desk lady, is how I think about it. Or guy. That's not necessarily.
What were, by the way, the other businesses that you bought besides the garage?
I bought some automotive facilities that weren't very good. I didn't make much money. Yeah, automotive, staffing, and then the garage one was the one that
how
sucked
is it
up a lot
to
of my
sell
time.
those? Did you sell? Did you flip all those? Did you sell?
Yeah, sell them. Yeah.
That just sounds like it's kind of hard to sell a business. Like, how did you also throw a broker? You just found somebody else that was like,
Yeah. I mean, I also, It's one of them I sold to somebody that I knew on Twitter.
Wow.
What?
Right? I mean, yeah. Somebody I knew on
But
Twitter.
wait, you had a business that you said you were struggling to grow yourself. So then it's like, how do you convince? Like, how did you get somebody to buy it on Twitter?
So there's a lot to that answer, right? What I'd say is the business for me is not. I didn't struggle to grow; it was just very painful. And so what I would say is selling to somebody who's at a different stage of their career or their professional journey, or maybe they already own a kitchen cabinet company and they want to add garages to their offering, right? Those are people who are looking at buying it. So there's all sorts, value is subjective. And so I might want to tuck this capability into my existing company, or oh my gosh, my dream is to be an owner operator and work with my hands all day.
Like, let's say Taylor's mom, she's scaling her home services business with painting. She's got a few more people now. She's delegating. Sure. Now she's, an age where it's like, you know what, I'm done. I'm ready to sell it off. How would you advise her to go about it?
The easiest way for her to do it would be just talk to a broker. The broker will take care of it. Easy.
And you can find a broker. Like, how do you find a broker? Coming out of the
years. I mean, I don't know what the financials are. Generally speaking, the big question, Flavie or Taylor, generally speaking, is there a transactable asset? Right? Meaning, if she makes $83,000 a year and she's the only employee, there's nothing to buy. Mm-hmm. You might buy the customer list for $2,000. Mm-hmm. But the company becomes more valuable as it becomes more of an asset and less of a job. And that's a spectrum, right? Now, there are still some people who would buy really small stuff based on certain scenarios. But no, I mean, it's just another... it's just another part of business that's very different than, say, technology or something. This is kind of like Main Street-y, little itty bitty private equity stuff.
So why'd you make the leap into Sagan, like what you're doing now?
Yeah, so in running that business in California, I got to the point where we had our installation crews in Southern California, and then I had 1099 salespeople, but everybody else was global. 100% of the company. I had a desktop in our big warehouse, and I had our operations manager who was on the other side of the world, and she would hit print, and we hooked up her computer to the printer in the warehouse, and our crew dudes would take their job for the day and then go load the trucks, right? And so I got really good at kind of building a global workforce for I would call it like an old school industry, let's say. And there are hundreds of thousands of companies that need that same transformation. And because I actually had kind of on the ground experience with it, they believed what I said. And so I just kept getting pulled into these kind of conversations, say like, dude, I own a massage therapy chain. I have 6 massage places and I'm losing my mind. I can't get people to do X or Y. I need help. And I could say, yeah, dude, I have a lot of opinions as to what I would do with that. And that kind of just like walked me down the path.
And I'm wondering, you sounds like you already had the experience, you had some capital, you got the knowledge, the know-how, you've done it before. How come you chose to have a co-founder to split the company with? What did you feel you were missing?
Yeah, so Kayvon, who's our Taylor's, have you met Kayvon, Flavie?
Yeah, he actually works in the office here.
He's there in BetaWorks.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Soho
Works. He's actually right over here. No, I'm just kidding.
He's actually just off camera. No, Kayvon's the man. So what I told Kayvon, so I've got like a really good following on Twitter. I've got a newsletter that does pretty well. I got a podcast. What I told Kayvon was, I do not need your help to build a $10 million company. I need your help to build a $100 million company. And so I took a calculated risk, which is I'm a small timer. I like knife fighting and being way in the weeds and being super operational. But like, as soon as there's an HR person, I need to retire. Like that's just not me. Whereas Kayvon, I think, needed me to get through the first couple turns of the wheel. But now Kayvon, puts on his old Goldman Sachs hat and is impressive as we look at what our next strategic moves are, how to apply capital to our growth strategy, stuff like that. And so what I told Kayvon was, I think we don't have official titles. We're just both co-founders. But what I told Kayvon was, if you want me to be the CEO until we're at $10 million and then you're the CEO after that, I think that's a fair trade. Now, we never didn't actually do that, but that's...
So who's the CEO now?
We don't have one. It's just me and Kayvon, co-founders.
Oh, you're both CEO. Like, what did you?
We don't have that title. We don't have that title in our company. But
that's all. It's like
I don't think we care. Yeah.
Did you cross the 10 million mark? Congrats, and that's great. Love the silent. So wait, what about scaling this business? To me, it seems from the outside that scaling a outsourced organization actually would suffer from the similar challenges as the plumbers, because over time, quality does go down, and sure, you can use AI to oversee them a little bit more. But I guess in my experience, like I have friends that use Athena. I'm curious what you think about kind of your competitors. Yep. But with Athena, like my friend's like, oh, the first one's the best. He was telling everybody, use Athena. This guy's amazing. Yep. He's still using them to this day. But then as you hire the second and third and fourth Athena person, they're like, oh wow, these guys suck compared to the first one. And so they're venture backed, and they're putting all their resources into it and paying them more money or whatever. How do you deal with those challenges?
Yeah. So I'll give you just a quick overview of how I view the kind of category, to include Athena, who I like to talk a lot of shit about, others as well, and then how I think we're positioned a little bit differently. So I never use the word outsourcing. I never use the word virtual assistant. One of the key insights of this whole method is these are just smart people who happen to live in other countries. That's it, right? This is not, some second-class citizen, because, my experience working and living abroad is, you say, Flavia, you're Romanian, right? Like, dude has 2 master's degrees and worked at the largest investment bank in Romania. You're going to call him a VA? The fuck out of here. He's just a dude who works for us who happens to live in Romania. Right. And so the first thing is a philosophical shift, which is, I don't think about this as outsourcing. I don't think about this as a staffing aug. I don't think about this as BPO, if you've heard that term, or virtual assistants or any of that stuff. It's like, dude, Flavi just lives in Romania, so he doesn't need to make as much money because the cost of living is lower, but he has a master's in project management and he knows how to join a Zoom call. Right. So that's the first thing. Right, I approach it differently. That was what I did in our company, which is Flavi wants a career. He wants to be promoted. He wants to work directly with the company that he spends all day with. And so everything we do at Sagan is direct, meaning we do not make our money by sitting between the labor rate and what they're billed out at. So everything we do is direct. And we think that enables a whole different category of talent and whatever. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, it does not expose us, Flavi, to what you said, to what I would call counterparty risk on the management of the customer companies, right? Because if they suck, look, I find the person for you and then they're yours, Flavi. If you can't manage them, sorry, bro. Meaning I'm not delivering you a person and saying they're going to change your life. I'm saying Flavi's really smart, but no, if you suck as a manager, I can't help you, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is, the industry is generally speaking set up really in the classic model, which we'll just talk about as Athena, is Athena pays their talent about $750 of the $3,000 that they bill every month. And so we attack the shit out of them. And we're like, can you imagine how good you could get if, God forbid, you paid $1,100 a month? God forbid. $1,300? Oh, $2,000? Right? And what that does is, no high quality person, Philippines or otherwise, which is mostly where Athena hires out of, wants to have a career where they make 38% of what they're billed out at. No smart. Now, people will say yes to that if they're, but we very specifically target people who work at Athena, and we go, yo, how would you like to make twice as much money and work at a real American company directly? And so Athena is based on, its business model is based on nobody knowing what the actual talent makes. They have to, oh, don't worry about it, Flavia. It's 3,000. Don't worry about it. But behind the scenes, the Philippines-based person or the Kenya-based executive assistant is pissed because they're making $723 of that. And Athena's not really adding much value after the first month. And so what we do is we just get you the people, you put in a hiring request, right? We've done, I think, about 1,400 hires in the last 14 months, all direct. So they work directly with Taylor. And then we have this whole thing called Sagan U. We have an event almost every day that's live, where it's both for the global talent and for the US side to actually learn how to do this right. And that's part of our education offering, which we could talk about too. But it's a different way to do it. And the way that we make our money isn't by marking up Taylor's labor. It's by that Costco membership, right? It's $1,000 a month. That's my margin. And so whatever Taylor sets his labor rate at as the Argentinian full stack developer is what the customer, they have a direct relationship. Like, there's no intermediation. So as the market becomes more mature and more transparent, it benefits us tremendously.
Do you think there are other opportunities? Because I hear you say this, and to me, it makes a lot of sense. I'm a Costco member. It makes a lot of sense to me, and I like the transparency of the way Costco does business. They say, look, we mark
cost plus 15%.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that, and I trust it, and I've watched a bunch of interviews with executives from Costco. I like the model. I'm curious why it's not yet happening in other spaces. Like, to hear you talk about, I'd never heard it applied in your space. Do you think that there's an opportunity to apply this model in other types, in other industries across the country or the world?
I'll do. And I'll tell you something that we're building with AI and automation that's an advantage that we have that you guys, I think, with your background will find interesting. But I think the reason why you don't see it more is I sent you guys, I think, a newsletter before, but there's this great article that I like. There's these, 3 core long-term competitive differentiators: customer intimacy, product innovation, and operational excellence. And the Costco model is the third one, same as like Walmart or whatever, which is you just run really well and you pass those savings along, right? It's not a price war business model. It's an operational efficiency business model. but oftentimes you whack the shit out of your competitors with price. I think the hard part about that is that it requires a level of comfort with operations that most people don't want to do. They just don't want to do it. It's hard to be that disciplined and not just rely on product innovation or certainly it's not a venture backed type play, right? You could never do it like that. But I wonder why. I would call it the membership model, which is something that I'd love to talk about. I would love if my coffee shop said, "Hey John, it's $250 for the year, and then it's cost plus 10 cents for every cup of coffee you buy." And so I, as a super user, do the math and I'm like, well, you charge me $6 retail. Yeah, that works, right? I think that works. And I think there's certain categories of membership models that work. The best part, there's a couple of really good parts about membership models that I really like. One is, for example, Costco has no theft. So they literally save 2% just on theft because people who are members don't steal because you had to get your picture taken to have your ID. There's Walmart budgets 2-3% every year in shrinkage and theft. Right. What we like about it, the two things that I like the most about it is number one, I actually become a trusted advisor because it's not transactional, meaning I've got you for the year, Flavi. We're going to talk about hires you're thinking about. And I get to know you and I can suggest things and I know your name. It's not transactional. And the second one from a capital perspective is we have net negative working capital. So the faster we grow, the bigger our balance sheet gets because you commit to that year in membership before I've provided any services. So if I sell 100 memberships tomorrow, I'm flush with cash, which is crazy versus a business like I was in construction where I'm chasing receivables in order to make payroll. And so there's a couple characteristics of membership models that I think are really powerful. I think smart people should be looking very closely at membership.
I will say though that I agree with you about the coffee shop model. And I will say that I get my car washed right around the corner.
Yeah, why did PE start buying? Because they start doing membership.
Exactly. So PE bought all these damn car washes, and now you can't go to a single car wash without them pushing. It's not a membership model. Like I would, it's more of a subscription, ram you up the butt model. But it's not the same thing. And here's why: is because it's exploitative. Like in other words, I look at it and they are not offering me. I don't feel like that Costco is offering me a bad deal, right? Like I feel like it's a good deal. It's fine. I do the same math that you do, and I say it makes sense. When I go to places and they're offering me subscription models, I'm thinking to myself, how many times is this car wash going to screw me based on this subscription model? Because they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And that I think is the difference, is that PE has ruined subscription models to the consumer and made it to where they're very exploitative. It's only in it for the business owner, or really for the shareholders, or the people who own it. And that difference may not sound like a big one, but I think it is. And I think it's this element of trust, which you've touched on. PE doesn't have my best interest at heart, or any of ours. So how do you see that kind of difference? Why does Costco have the trust, but the car wash people across town don't?
It's a good question. I mean, when I think about it, the thing that we've really leaned into is our membership model allows us to have really superior pricing, just like Costco, right? I would say the core of a well-designed membership model is that membership provides more benefits than just pricing. And so in the car wash model, it's literally just like essentially prepay, or the membership benefits are very thin, right? Whereas for us, we're about to start probably an event series, right? All around the country for our members. And you know what we're going to charge for our members? We'll fly in speakers at our expense. We're going to, right? Why are we going to do that? Because I want them to be members forever. Right? We're doing this cost plus automation thing, which we can talk about. You know how much our competitors charge to build automations for companies? 10, 15 grand a month, 3-month minimum, retainer, or whatever. You know what we're going to charge? Usage, like API plus a cent. Why? Because I want you to be a member. So I think you have to lean into the membership model to provide more benefits than just simply passing along pricing savings, or else there's more to it than just like, I get cheap t-shirts.
Gas.
Right? Yeah, gas. I tell people all the time, why does Costco sell gas and gold? Because their membership model.
Gold bars.
So, yeah.
So here's the thing. Do you think AI agents are a threat to your business? And the task that I would give a person, qualified master's degree person that uses Zoom, that eventually will be an agent. And maybe they're not quite good enough today to do it, but I could see how in a year or two they might. What do you think?
So I just did a whole podcast about this. I created this thing that I've given talks about at conferences and stuff. And my last name's Matzner. I call it Matzner's hierarchy of leverage, or how work gets done. I named it after myself. At the top is ownership, then it's expensive labor, then it's less expensive labor, and then it's AI and automation. at the bottom. And your goal as a business owner is to try to push things as low as possible, to have the bottom tiers as fat as possible. And the way you do that is systemization, generally speaking. What I see right now in our own companies is if the people who are going to get chewed up first is the bottom of that pyramid, which is the Philippines data entry person who does revenue cycle management for a healthcare company. And all they're really doing is pulling things out of a document and putting them in a spreadsheet. That person is going to get nuked, right? They're going to get nuked, right? Because they're $650 a month and they're just going to get chewed up by AI and automation. Do I think that a lawyer is going to get nuked by AI and automation or AI agents? No. And so what I tell people a lot is I think global talent is, the analogy that I use is it's Netflix DVDs in the mail versus Netflix streaming, which I actually think global talent for a lot of functions is a transitional step to get to AI and automation. Meaning I have a bunch of data that's in 7 different systems and I really want to do an AI agent and the AI agents aren't there yet. So what do? I throw 10 folks from the Philippines at it. Now, as soon as I get that data consolidated and it's structured data formats, can I slap O3 against it and now it's producing? Yeah, but in the interim, there's this whole period of time where I need the work done, but AI agents aren't ready yet. And so oftentimes that lower end of global talent is a transitional technology. The best analogy I heard is trucks and trains, which is sometimes you need trucks and that's when you don't know where you're going, what you're carrying, how often it happens. You don't want to build a train track the first time you're moving a load from somewhere, and that's human beings. But as soon as you have predictability, a purchase order comes in and it gets routed to this part of ERP and then it gets sent. That's now you build a train track, which is AI agents or automation. And so I've always liked that, but you don't want to do that the first time because you're like, I don't know where we're going. We're building a train track is a really dumb idea.
Well, so then does that not affect your business then? Because if you're helping the people build that the first time and then they don't need the service anymore, you're thinking you're just going to keep moving upstream to.
Yeah. So most of our business, 90% is like non-Philippines. Frankly, I think the country that's going to get hammered with AI agents is the Philippines, right? They're going to get nuked. They're going to get totally smoked. Because generally speaking, they're the closest to the API, let's call it, right? There's like this machine called the API that's chewing its way up, right? And if all you're doing is labeling documents, an AI agent's going to do better. When you look at somebody who makes a couple categories up and is based in Argentina as a team leader, that person is 40 years away from getting chewed up by an AI agent, in my opinion.
Why don't you think the lawyers are going to get chewed up?
I think there's lawyers specifically because the lawyers won't let it. I mean, literally, I think if you study the history of technological innovation, right, I think that it's going to reshuffle the way legal work is done. I don't think you can charge $2,000 for an NDA anymore. But do I think, I think the hourly billing model in lawyers is going to get put under pressure. But do I think lawyers are going to go away? No. Do I think there'll be less of them? Probably. Do I think, I got my first nasty letter from somebody that was obviously written by ChatGPT. It's actually easier to sue people now with AI. This letter, it was from some person who's not very bright, but they wrote me a letter. It like cited the Constitution because they just said like, write a mean letter to John about how, I don't know, I want a refund or something, right? And so I actually think in a lot of cases, it's actually going to proliferate real legal work because it's like, you just threw like this garbage at me. So I don't buy the AI replacing human beings. I think human beings are going to move up and the work's going to change. We also, by the way, help people, Flavi, with AI and automation. That's where we can talk about our membership model too.
Yeah, speak about that.
Say again?
Yeah, speak about that.
So our membership model lets us acquire customers under the membership category, but then we become a trusted advisor. And we've already started doing it. We've got a pilot going on, but we'll actually help them automate. And we can do usage-based pricing, full custom automations in N8N or Make or whatever, where we can build it for them and we only have to charge them for usage. Because I've already acquired the customer via the membership model. And so I don't need to say, oh, Taylor, I'm not going to build this for you. I got to get a $10,000 retainer. I'm like, no, you're a member, right? Awesome. We can build automations for you. Give me a $500 deposit. And then it's 1 cent, for every 10 runs and cancel at any time, no contract. Why? Because I have a membership model where that's where I make my margin, just like Costco.
Are you not worried about, there's significant subscription fatigue nowadays? People are worried. Everything's getting subscriptionized. Are you not worried about that? Or
is Costco worried about that?
I don't know.
Yeah. I have our customers telling us to charge more money. I can't believe how inexpensive this is. I said, perfect. That's where we want to keep it.
So you didn't raise the price?
No. So we just acquired a huge training catalog of sales training, and we just gave it to our members for free. People using it every day, right? Because it's an understanding of what business you're really in. And what we're trying to do is just accrete benefits to membership over and over and over and over.
I like it.
Yeah.
If you were forced to start something completely outside of this space, where would you go?
I really like leadership and management stuff. So probably something in like, oh, actually, no, that's not right. I'll say I love GTD, getting things done. I'd want to be a GTD coach. I love getting things done. I'd love to teach executives how to actually get organized.
What do you think they're missing? Like what's one insight you give an executive who wants to focus?
Don't use your email as an inbox. Sorry, as a to-do list. Everybody I see, I share a screen with somebody who's a high performer and they have 78 tabs open and 47 emails that are like randomly color coded. Technology is not going to save you. AI is not going to save you. Superman is not going to save you. You need to think critically about how to actually get work done as a white collar worker. And that is not it's not Asana. It's not getting an executive assistant. You need to actually understand how work needs to be designed in order to stay organized. And that's why that's probably something that I see everybody getting fucked up with.
And is it that they're doing too many micro tasks?
No, it's that the mind is for having ideas, not storing them. I mean, I'm just going to quote David Allen, right? Who's my guru, right? Which is they're keeping a bunch of stuff in their brain and they don't have a trusted system to get it out of their brain and into that system so that they can think about higher order tasks. And so every time they open their email inbox, they have to scan 27 emails to find the one that they want to action. And they're not thinking coherently, horizontally and vertically about how their work gets done. By the way, as a Sagan member, Taylor, when you join, I'm actually about to teach 12 one-hour sessions every week, starting in about 2 weeks, about getting started on getting organized.
It's turned into
And that is, and guess what the price is for you and your team on that?
free.
Free. It's included with membership.
Turned into an infomercial. What do most of these first-time founders waste energy on?
But wait, there's more. No. What do they waste energy on? First-time founders? Anything other than getting customers. Kevin and I were at a hilarious, Kevin and I are both experienced founders. We were at a hilarious number. We still have a card website, one page. We haven't updated it. It doesn't even have all of our product features on it. And we didn't even have a signed operating agreement until we were at a very big number because we're like, dude, what are we going to do? No, we're going to see if we like each other. We're going to see if there's a real company here. And then after we're at a not small number, and then we're like, okay, we'll sign our operating agreement because it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time, we thought. And so I would say anything other than getting traction, getting customers.
Which is hard. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, it's the juggling monkey. You guys know the juggling monkey, right? You're tech guys.
Which juggling? What is it?
The Google story about if somebody goes to you, Flavi, and says, I want you to build a pedestal with a juggling monkey on it. What everybody wants to do is send weekly updates about how they're building the pedestal. And it's like, that's not the hard part. The hard part's the juggling monkey. And so it's like, you need to be obsessed with teaching a monkey to juggle, not how high your pedestal is. Hey, we're 50% done with the pedestal. It's like, who cares, right? Like getting a website, forming your LLC, writing an operating agreement, that stuff's all pedestal. What's the hard part? Will doctors trust AI to make diagnosis? If you can't prove that, then who gives a shit how good your pedestal is? And so that phrase about pedestal building, I think basically focusing on anything that's not the juggling monkey is a giant waste of time. So figure out what your juggling monkey is.
I think that's a beautiful place to wind
Right.
that. So we'll end with life hack. So this can be a tool, it could be a product, it could be getting things done, it could be a methodology. So we'll go around the horn. I'll start. So mine is, and I've said this on this pod, but I think it was 2 years ago, so I'm going to say it again because I just used it. Apple Maps is good again, I promise. Like it is Apple Maps on your watch, which Flavio, I think you recently did it, right? On your watch where it does walking directions in a place like Italy is unbelievable because pulling your phone out when you're walking around some streets you don't know sucks. Like you have your phone out and you're looking and you're waiting and the streets are not like, it's not like go up here, turn right. No, they're crooked streets. Everything's wild. And not only is it good, it's shockingly good in places where it doesn't really have GPS connection. And to be able to just glance at your watch and know, go up here, because it puts a little bitty map on your watch and to know to go up here, turn left. It's a game changer and it's really, really good. And I keep saying it because people say, no, dude, Apple Maps sucks. It's like, I know. 5 years ago it was awful. But now it's quite good. Not quite as good as Google Maps, but Google Maps on your watch sucks. Like Google Maps is terrible. It just gives you the turn by turn. Apple Maps is so much better. And so I'm begging people, try Apple Maps. I'm going to throw in one other thing. The new cars do. So I have a Genesis. I know the new BMWs are this way too. They don't integrate with Google Maps. So if you do Google Maps through CarPlay on your car, it just shows up on the display over on the right. Like it shows up in your main screen. However, There are CarPlay and Apple Maps integrations, which allow it to show up in the nav. What do I mean by this? I have a heads-up display in my car. I see right through it and shows my speedometer and everything. If I do Apple Maps directions, it gives me directions right next to the speedometer right as I'm looking through. Google Maps doesn't do that integration. So I'm begging people, please try Apple Maps. It's good. Not if you have CarPlay, try it out in your car, see if it gives some enhanced functionality. And if you have an Apple Watch, absolutely do it for walking directions. All right, that's mine. What about you, Flavio?
Well, I think gifting is very underrated. We started gifting everybody either a grill set, if you're a man, or hangers, clothing hangers, branded, beautiful clothing hangers if you're a woman. Which at first I thought was that weird? Like, is it like sexist to give women hangers? But no, they love it. I got great feedback. They're like, oh, these are beautiful. And I even went the extra step one time and branded with their kids' names on them. That might have been a little too weird. That was a little too, I think that's a step too far. Don't do that. How about you, John?
I went through a phase where I was gifting people smelling salts. It's great. I just sent them a bottle of smelling salts.
What do they smell like?
What's a smelling
You've never
salt?
done smelling
No,
salts?
what
Do
is
they
it?
smell like salt?
Oh my God. I'll get your address from Kayvon. I'll send
All
you
right.
some. It's serious. Are you guys using WhisperFlow?
No.
WhisperFlow has
Is this
changed
like
my
a
life.
coding assistant?
Voice
No,
to-
it is a really, really, so kind of like how Taylor said Apple Maps is back, or, try it again. I would say voice to text is not Siri and Alexa anymore. And so WhisperFlow is in any text field. If I just hold my function key, I can just completely talk and it will immediately, if I could share my screen now and show you, it immediately transcribes it in Slack, in AI, in whatever. And if you look at my stats here, in the last 14 weeks, I've transcribed 92,000 words at 190 words per minute because of WhisperFlow. WhisperFlow keeps track of it. And it is insane. It's like snappy. You're used to being like with Siri, where you're like,
so
Siri,
bad.
call Flavi. FL, oh my, yeah, sure, we'll play the Beatles, let it be. And you're like, God damn it, right? WhisperFlow is incredible. I don't type anymore, ever.
Really?
I never type. Dude, all right, can I share my screen or no?
Let's see it.
Okay.
Share your screen, man. You
I'll
can share the audio too if you want,
Well, I think we'll hear it, right?
in case it starts playing the Beatles.
Yeah, exactly. So let me go here.
Is this
I'll
the
go to
same
this.
whisper from OpenAI or different?
No.
whisper?
That's a API. Okay, so this is what it actually looks like on the back end. So you guys can see I'm not full of shit. These are my stats, right?
Nice.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, if I go to my notes app, which is how
You're in
you'll
top
see- you'll see some
1%, dude.
You'll see. What'd you say?
You're the top 1% of their
Yeah.
users.
So you'll see some GTD stuff here, but watch. I'm just going to hold my function key and go, hey, reach out to Kayvon and ask him about going to the Met Gallery last week when we're in New York City because I think the bananas are late, right?
Wow.
Hey, so Taylor, when are we going to go on the podcast? Because I know you asked me a bunch of questions and I'm not sure whether or not I want them sent via Google Doc or Gmail. And then I let go fast in any text box on my computer ever. It's incredible.
Wow.
So I just hold my control key and let go, and it's just super fast.
On your phone too.
I think they have an iPhone app. It's new. I don't really use that. I use it mostly on my desktop, but I use it just for every Slack, email, everything, because voice has gotten good, right?
Wow.
It's kind of like Apple Maps where people like think voice means Alexa, where it was terrible. I very rarely type anymore.
Dude, Alexa's still terrible.
Yeah,
I love
it's terrible.
Alexa. It hasn't changed at all.
Google Home is terrible. They're all bad.
Miserable.
They're all
No, these are all, these, yeah.
All right, that's a great hack. Also,
Dude,
where
thanks so much.
can people find you, John?
Look me up on Twitter, Matzner John. I also have a podcast and a newsletter called Lazy Leverage.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for rocking with the homies. Taylor, Trusty, and Flavio. Seize the day, own it. Until next time, hold it down, hold it down. Hey.